Have you ever been in a situation where you were unsure if a document should be saved or thrown out? Where you couldn't determine whether you were destroying important company records or possibly retaining sensitive data that could expose our organization to unnecessary risk? Imagine you've started on a project and you're moving your documentation for that project into an office file cabinet. In the drawers, you find a large number of obviously stray files containing employee timesheets that appear to be a few years old. Do you shred the records to get them out of your way, but worry about whether you're discarding something important? Or do you hold on to them, knowing that valuable storage space is being eaten up by possibly meaningless old documents? Fortunately, by the end of this brief video, you'll have the tools to confidently make the best choice for both yourself and for the company, and avoid potential risk or liability. The first step in proper records management is to understand what records are. Records and information are valuable assets that help us analyze the past and make sound decisions about the future. They consist of paper records, emails, electronic data, handwritten notes, voicemails, videos, and more. A record's value is determined by its content, not the media it's stored on. For example, a contract signed by a client may be on paper or may be stored on a computer. The next step is to recognize the principles that govern which documents we must keep and which we must destroy, and which ones don't matter so much. When a record is created, it begins its life cycle. The life cycle may be a day, several years, or a record may live forever. Many laws and regulations, as well as our internal policies, specify retention requirements for certain records. Which records are these? We all work with official and unofficial records. Official records provide evidence of a company's actions and intent, and must be retained for the full retention period stated by the department responsible for the record. Examples include time records, like in the earlier example, vendor invoices, product safety reports, etc. Official records can include emails and other electronic communications. Note that in the case of emails, it is generally okay for you to delete them locally, but you should be aware that our organization keeps copies of every email sent or received using your official addresses and devices. Unofficial records, which may include drafts, informational or convenience copies of more formal materials and work papers, or duplicates of official records used for reference purposes, may be properly disposed of as soon as they are no longer useful. The final step towards proper records management is to comply with our records management policy. This means that official records must always be kept properly stored for no less and no more time than required by our policies. This applies to all such records, except those subject to a legal hold due to litigation or investigation. Our legal department will instruct us to retain any such records until the legal hold is released. Records ready for destruction must be handled according to our privacy and security policies. Sensitive, personally identifiable, and non-public information must be disposed of by secure destruction methods, like shredding. All employees are responsible for protection and disposal of sensitive information including names, addresses, social security numbers, account information, credit card numbers, personal health information, and any other sensitive information that may relate to business activities. If you are unsure about whether a record should be considered sensitive, assume that it is. Non-sensitive records may be disposed of through recycling. Electronic records must be maintained and destroyed according to the same retention rules that apply to physical records. Note that electronic data should not be stored on your computer's hard drive. Storing information on the company's network instead provides proper security and backup to minimize loss and exposure. In summary, each of us has a responsibility to maintain records so that they can be readily located, protect confidential or sensitive information, ensure records placed on a legal hold are retained until released by our legal department, and destroy records under your control in accordance with company policy. And remember, our records management policy applies to on-site and remote employees equally. In the situation involving the old timesheets you found in the file cabinet, you can't just throw out the documents. The best option in this case is to speak with a supervisor or the company's records management department to find out who they belong to. Your supervisor should remind the owner of the records that timesheets are official records and must be maintained properly. In the short run, it may feel inconvenient for you to have to deal with these files, but in the long run, you'll know you're protecting the business, legal, and financial interests of our company. Every employee has this responsibility. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact our records management, compliance, or legal departments. We're here to help.